What an incredible year for movies in 2019. I mean, we got movies from directors like Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, Greta Gerwig, Jennifer Kent, Ari Aster, Jordan Peele. So many great independent films, great horror movies, great comedies. We got the biggest movie of all time that came out last year, and that's exactly what I'm here to talk about today, guys. That is my top 10 movies of 2019. Let's jump into this list. What is going on, everybody? Elliot here from Movie Files. Very excited to share my top 10 movies of 2019 with you all. As I've done with my previous top 10 movies of the decade for horror, comic books, favorite TV shows, there is no right or wrong answer. This is just the films that really resonate with me. My list is based on films that have watchability factors, my theatrical experience, and so on and so forth. And I'm very excited to share that list with you all. But before we dive into it, for those that are new to this channel, definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that bell so you can stay up to date with all my latest movie reviews, TV reviews, unboxing and giveaways, and all the fun things we do on this very channel. And again, there's no right or wrong answer, so let me know in the comment section your top 10 movies of last year, your top 5, your top 3, your number 1 film. Let me know in the comments. Let's have some fun discussions down there. So, what a year, right? I mean, yes, I know there's some complaints about some of the big blockbusters that maybe didn't hit it well at the box office, like a Men in Black, a Godzilla movie, and so on and so forth. But we really got a really great year in cinema. And my list is kind of compiled. It took me a little bit to make this list. And I'm going to read off some honorable mentions before I actually get into the list. Again, if it was any other year, these movies probably would have been on my list as far as top 10 movies of the year, but it was a really, really solid year. So I'm going to briefly go over my honorable mentions here, starting with, in no particular order, Brittany Runs a Marathon, Honey Boy, Knives Out, Peanut Butter Falcon, The Farewell, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, John Wick 3, Booksmart, Us, and recently 1917. So again, all phenomenal films, all great films in their own right, but they just wasn't able to make my list. Some of them I just recently saw, like 1917, so I haven't been able to process that film enough to kind of validate that it goes on my list for some of these other films that I've sat with a little bit longer and I've seen other times. So with that being out of the way, we're going to start this list off with my number 10 movie of 2019, and that is Netflix's Dolomite Is My Name. A film that I was very, very excited to see. Number one, I grew up with Eddie Murphy, watching Raw, watching Delirious, watching him in films coming up, and just really being a big fan of his. And it's been a while since we got a good Eddie Murphy film, and this is one of my favorites. I knew it was going to be funny, and it definitely is one of the funniest films that I saw last year. But one of the things I took away from this film was how much heart it had, and how much it motivated me, right? Seeing that story and seeing how he got everything thrown at him, but he was able to accomplish his goals. I think you could take that element into anyone's life in our day-to-day life, and I really love that film, and I'm so excited to see Eddie Murphy continue to get back in the spotlight, whether it be his appearance on Saturday Night Live, which I love. See him do a stand-up special on Netflix pretty soon. And then, of course, Coming to America coming out later this year. So very exciting time to be an Eddie Murphy fan. And Dolomite Is My Name on Netflix is a highly recommended film. And that is my number 10 on my list here. On to number 9, a film that I saw a couple weeks into the month of December. Saw it very early, and that is Greta Gerwig's second film, Little Women. One of the most charming, most delightful films I saw of the year. The performances across the board between the sisters and the chemistry was phenomenal. The direction by Greta Gerwig, with this being her second directorial film, I thought she knocked it out of the park. It was more ambitious. It had more to do as far as the scope and scale of the film, and the heart and the charm, the funny moments in the movie, the dramatic moments. I mean, I love Little Women. I've seen it twice already. I saw it a couple weeks before it came out in theaters, and I took Morgan to go see it on Christmas. I absolutely love that movie. Can't wait to own it and watch it again. But that is my number 9, Little Women. Coming in at number 8, my favorite horror film, if you want to call it horror, because some people might consider it a drama or a kind of suspenseful film, but I consider it a horror film, and that is Lighthouse. Not a big fan of The Witch, but I really, really enjoyed the direction that we got in Lighthouse. I thought the performances by William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson was incredible. This is one of those films where I remember being at the theater, packed house when I saw it, and I was just so locked into the aspect ratio, the black and white, the story that was being told, the interesting characters, and the mystery aspect of the film. Highly recommend Lighthouse if you all haven't seen it. It's not for everyone, but it really clicked for me, and I'm excited to own it on Blu-ray when it comes out pretty soon. But that is my number 8 on my list. That is Lighthouse. Number 7, another Netflix film that has two of the most authentic, most emotional acting I've seen this this year, and that is Marriage Story. That movie, man, it was, I've never been married. I don't have kids, but that story that we saw on the screen between those two actors, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, what a phenomenal acting performance. That I still think of that scene when they were in the living room going at it, and Adam says what he says to Scarlett and the stuff that she says to him. What a great performance. It was raw. It was an emotional movie, and I just thought that the acting was just phenomenal. Again, the story was, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but it was those performances and the direction that really, really compelled me to put this on my list. I really enjoyed that film, Marriage Story, coming in at number 7. On to number 6. Again, this is the year of Netflix. They're going to be some big contenders coming Oscar season, but number 6 is one of my favorite directors of all time, Martin Scorsese's epic gangster mob film, The Irishman. What else can I see? You can see my review for all these movies, so I won't go too deep into these films as far as my thoughts, but The Irishman, 3.5-hour film. I was locked in from the beginning to the end. I thought the performances by Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Jimmy Hoffa, being played by Al Pacino, great performances by some of the greatest actors that we've seen of our time. Again, you're seeing Martin Scorsese coming back to his roots, doing a gangster film. One of my favorite films of all time is Goodfellas, and I had that vibe to it. Again, it's 3.5 hours, but to me, it went by pretty quickly because I was just so locked into that story, and great performances across the board. That is my number 6 film, The Irishman. Before I get into my top 5, if you all haven't already, definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that bell so you can stay up to date with all my content. Follow me on all my social media accounts, and again, leave your comments below. Let me know what made your top 10, your top 5, your top 3. What was your number film of 2019? Let me know in the comments. So on to the number 5 film on my top 10 list. That is Uncut Gems. I love this movie, even though I was sweating from all the crazy decisions that Adam Sandler's character Howie made, from all the yelling, the screaming, the chaoticness of that film. I really enjoyed it. This is 2 for 2 for me for the Safdie brothers. I think that they have went to the school of Martin Scorsese, and they bring in their own flavor. Their films are raw, they're gritty, and they're just a day in a life type of film, and I thought that film was excellent. It was one of, it's my number 5. I'm excited to own it, even though I'm scared to watch it again because it gives me high blood pressure watching that film, but really, really well done movie with high stakes, with a very obsessive, addictive character, and I just really enjoyed that film, and that came in at my number 5. On to my number 4 film of the year, which for most part of the year, it was my number 1, but it ended up being number 4, and that is Avengers Endgame. As you all know, I love me some Marvel, I love me some DC, I love all the fandom stuff, the nerd stuff, and this came in at number 4. Where do I begin with this film? Out of all these films I saw that I'm mentioning on my list here, this was probably one of the most films that I cried the most in, for the good reasons, for the nerd reasons. That last hour of Avengers Endgame, I was crying from the moment that we get to On Your Left moment with Sam coming back. Great callback to one of my favorite films, Winter Soldier, to seeing Spider-Man come back, to seeing the death of Tony Stark, to seeing the send-off to Captain America. I was so emotional in that last hour, and it was such a great film. The Russo brothers had so much that they had to do in this film, and I think that they knocked it out of the park. And even though I love Infinity War a little bit more than Endgame, Endgame is my number 2 favorite Marvel film in the MCU thus far, and what a phenomenal send-off to some of our favorite characters that we've been watching for the last 10 plus years. And then for me, being a comic book fan, seeing these characters brought to life and the way they were brought to life was just phenomenal, and I love Endgame. So that was my number 4. On to my number 3, another comic book movie, but a very different comic book movie, and that is Joker. Joaquin Phoenix, Todd Phillips, Robert De Niro, Zazie Beetz, everyone involved in this film. You talk about authentic and raw, and just one of the most talked about, one of the most controversial films of 2019. But with that being said, it's one of the most well-made films of last year. Todd Phillips, everyone was a little bit nervous, like the guy that made The Hangover and all the comedies. Yes, that guy. He brought the Joker to the big screen. Everyone, including myself, was like, why do we need a Joker origin movie? But Arthur Fleck, such an interesting character. The mystery of, is he really the Joker, and are they going to make a sequel? All that stuff being said, what a true great film that we got with the Joker, which I am, I bought it on Blu-ray. I have a giveaway on my channel right now for that movie. Can't say enough about that film. And again, the combination between Joaquin and Todd Phillips and that score was a phenomenal character within itself. The Joker is just phenomenal. Now into my top 2, starting off with my number 2 here, a film that a director that I'm just becoming a huge fan of, and that is Jojo Rabbit, coming in at number 2. I don't know how he did it. I mean, the subject matter dealing with Nazis and Hitler and kind of playing on the borderline of comedy and satire and anti-hate film. I mean, I love this film from top to bottom. I thought the comedy was great. I thought the acting was phenomenal. And then that scene with I won't spoil it for those that haven't seen it, but the scene with the shoes, with JoJo and the shoes behind him. I mean, I cry just thinking of that moment. I can't wait to own the film. Again, Taika Waititi is becoming one of my favorite directors in Hollywood. The guy just knows what he's doing in front and behind the camera, and I'm excited to see what he does next for his next film, including Thor 4, Love and Thunder. But I just thought that film had so much heart, so much joy, anti-hate message, and just had a lot going for it. I'm very excited to see it again, but that is my number 2 on my list. And now, drum roll please, on to my number 1 movie of 2019, a film that I heard so much about. And I was very nervous going into it because it's always one of those situations where like you hear so many good things. Can it possibly live up to the hype? And it did that plus some, and that is Parasite. I was absolutely floored by this movie theater experience because, again, I went to this film very cold. I just knew that everyone was talking about it. I didn't watch a trailer. I didn't read a synopsis. I went into it as cold as possible and walked out blazing hot of just excitement and just being like, that is cinema. That is just a great movie with a great story, with a great message, with a great acting, directing, everything you could think of when it comes to filmmaking. I thought that film delivered that and some. I mean, just the performances that we got, the story of people being at a certain status in their lifestyle and how we look at people that's below us or people that are at a higher status, how they look at people below them. I just think it was just such a great film. And again, it was one of those experiences where, for those that have seen the film, where there's that switch in the film. And I just remember now being at the theater and my jaw being on the floor when we have that switch of pace and tone of the film. And the film's coming out pretty soon on Blu-ray. I can't wait to show Morgan the film. Can't wait to continue to watch this movie, pick out more Easter eggs, little messages that I might have missed the first time I saw it. But man, Parasite is a phenomenal film. And for those that haven't seen it, I cannot recommend the film enough. It comes out pretty soon on Blu-ray, and I highly recommend you all checking out what it does. So again, just to recap, number 10, Dolomite Was My Name. Now, number 9, Little Women. Number 8, Lighthouse. Marriage Story coming in at number 7. The Irishman, number 6. Uncut Gems, number 5. In Game, number 4. Joker, number 3. Jojo Rabbit, number 2. And Parasite is my number 1 film of last year. So again, no right or wrong answers. That's my top 10 of last year. Again, a great year in cinema. Again, some of those blockbusters didn't really hit for everyone, but all the films I mentioned here really resonate with me, whether it be the theatrical experience, rewatchability, had some emotional moments with me. I really love those films that made my list, and I'm excited to start the new year in 2020, and I have my top 10 most anticipated movies coming out next week, so keep an eye out for that video. But thank you all for watching this video. Give the video a thumbs up, really helps out the channel. Like and share and comment below, again, your top 10, top 5, top 3, number 1 film in the comments below. No right or wrong answers. Let me know your all's thoughts and your list in the comments. Make sure you're checking out all my content that I currently have on my channel. Movie reviews from Underwater, 1917, Just Mercy. Got my top 10 horror films of the decade, top 10 comic book movies of the decade, top 10 shows of 2019. And like I said, I have my most anticipated coming next week. So thank you all for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next video.